Part 175. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1741. Chapter 1741. Wife, can you give me a hug? Huo Yangzi shook his head, and a familiar figure appeared in his blurred vision. He was a little unbelievable. Nangong Yu is really well educated. Even if she cries, she won't howl regardless of her image. She sobbed softly, and it seemed that it was her crying that attracted Huo Yangzi's attention. He stretched out his hand, but still did not dare to come close. He seemed to be laughing at himself. You said you would rather never meet me, so how could you come to me on your own initiative? Hearing this, Nangong Yu stopped crying and slowly raised his head. Nangong Yu raised his head slightly and glanced. The look of pear blossoms with rain hit Huo Yangzi's heart. Huo Yangzi hugged her and said, "Xiao Yu." He was very strong, as if he was afraid that she would disappear. "Is that you?" "Huo Yangzi, please let me go." Nangong Yu was a little uncomfortable being strangled by him, and he wanted to push but couldn't. Who knew that Huo Yangzi not only refused to let go, but also boldly buried his head in the crook of her neck, rubbing her affectionately. "Honey, don't reject me." Nangong Yu was caught off guard and was a little confused when he called his wife. "You just said that I am not your wife. Because I can't believe you're coming to me." That night Nangong Yu cried and said to him, "I would rather never meet," but when he left, it became his nightmare. Just now he heard Hien mention the word ma'am when he answered the phone. So after seeing Hien leave the room, he stood up, opened the door and walked out. Unexpectedly, he met a woman rushing towards him in the corridor. He smelled a strange smell and was very repelled. That woman was not his wife, so he was disgusted and kicked her away directly. Later, Nangong Yu came. He thought he was drunk and hallucinating, so he told her to get out. He remembered Nangong Yu's words, he doesn't like men who are flirting with women. So he did it, and he no longer allowed any woman except grandma to get close to him. But he didn't know how to express all this to Nangong Yu. He even thought that if he said such silly things to Nangong Yu, she would definitely laugh at him, right? But now he is drunk, and behaves as if he were drunk. "Wife, can you give me a hug?" "You're already holding her." She was holding her with such force that it hurt her. "Then can you kiss me?" "Not good." Nangong Yu turned his face away. Huo Yangzi turned his head shamelessly, kissed her on the cheek, and then smiled like a child who had eaten candy. "But you stink, you smell like alcohol." She doesn't like the smell of tobacco and alcohol very much. She only drinks alcohol when socializing, and she restrains her drinking amount. It's really annoying to be so drunk like Huo Yangzi. But she actually doesn't hate him very much. "Huo Yangzi, you are drunk, let's go home." "Go home?" "Right." "Which home?" Then I remembered that they were legally husband and wife, but privately they lived in two places. But she has Huo Yangzi's daily necessities there, and she hasn't been to Huo Yangzi's villa yet. After comparing the two, Nangong Yu suggested, "Go to my apartment." The drunk Mr. Huo lost his temper. "No, I want to go back to the villa." Nangong Yu thought for a moment, "Then I'll ask Hien to take you back." Huo Yangzi frowned and said domineeringly, "You also have to go back with me." "Ah! You are my wife, you want to go home with me." Huo Yangzi pulled her up and walked out the door. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1742. Chapter 1742. Whose birthday is the password? Nangong Yu was originally here to take the drunkard Huo Yangzi home, but he didn't expect that Huo Yangzi would take him back to the villa. There were many servants in the villa. Nangong Yu originally thought that she had to explain her identity, but she didn't expect that the servants seemed to have been accustomed to calling her madam. "Where is Huo Yangzi's room?" "Ma'am, please come with me." A maid led her upstairs. "Sir, we have told you that we cannot enter this room at will, and the door is locked, so you need to open it yourself, madam." "Okay, thank you. This is what it should be." The maid backed off and said, "If you need anything, madam, just give me your order, and everyone here will listen to your arrangements. Please ask the kitchen to make a bowl of hangover soup." "Okay, madam. The maid will make arrangements as soon as she gets the order." Nangongyu helped Huo Yangzi stand at the door and asked him to open the door. Huo Yangzi lazily replied that he wanted a password. "What's the password?" Nangongyu asked. Huo Yangzi glanced at her but refused to answer. "I won't tell you. But if you don't tell us the password, we can't get in. Guess for yourself." "I guess." Nangongyu looked at the numbers that lit up on the door and was confused. She didn't know Huo Yangzi's habit of using passwords at all, so how could she guess it? "Huo Yangzi, please stop playing and open the door first." "I can't even help you. I can stand on my own." After saying that, Huo Yangzi immediately stood up straight, as if standing in a military posture. "Don't tell me, he looks quite handsome." Nangongyu raised his forehead and began to guess the password. Most people would choose their birthday as their password. She had seen Huo Yangzi's birthday before, so she entered the number. A red X is displayed above, indicating that the password is incorrect. "Isn't the password a birthday?" "It's a birthday. But, entering the birthday is wrong." "It's my birthday." Nangongyu thought that Huo Yangzi listened to his grandfather so much, so he entered Mr. Huo's birthday, but a red X was still displayed. No matter how Nangongyu asked now, he always answered that it was his birthday. She suddenly thought of a few numbers, but she thought they were unlikely. She stared at Huo Yangzi deeply and asked again, "Are you really not going to tell me the password? If you enter it incorrectly again, the door will be locked for 24 hours. It's my birthday." Nangongyu looked at the numbers 1-0 again and entered a few numbers with trembling hands. Unexpectedly, the door actually opened. She glanced at Huo Yangzi in surprise. Huo Yangzi was also smiling at her. That smile was not a joke, but a bit indulgent. The number she just entered is actually her birthday. Unexpectedly, Huo Yangzi actually used her birthday as a password. "The door is open, let's go in." Huo Yangzi stood at the door and didn't understand. Nangongyu tugged his hand and led him inside. When she walked into the room, she was shocked again. This room has a fresh and elegant beige style, which seems completely inconsistent with Huo Yangzi's image. She thought he would prefer dark colors. "Huo Yangzi, go take a bath. The smell of alcohol all over my body is really pungent. You wash me." "Huo Yangzi, can you be more serious?" "Forget it, how to communicate with an alcoholic." Nangongyu wanted to find some clothes for him. Looking at the large wardrobe against the wall, she walked over and opened the wardrobe, and was surprised by what was inside. That closet is actually all women's clothes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1743. Chapter 1743. Wife, my head hurts so much. Huo Yangzi, where are your clothes? My clothes? In. Huo Yangzi pointed his finger from left to right, and finally landed on the corner. There. Nangongyu opened the cabinet in the corner. There were only a few men's items hanging there. Choose a soft fabric suitable for pajamas and hand it to Huo Yangzi, pushing him to take a shower. Go quickly. Then you are not allowed to leave. Okay. Although she initially planned to send the person over and leave, it could be seen that Huo Yangzi was so drunk that she was not at ease. Huo Yangzi turned back 3 times with one step and finally entered the bathroom. Nangongyu breathed a sigh of relief, but she just spent too much time with Huo Yangzi and smelled of alcohol. She also needed to take a shower and change clothes. Nangongyu went down to find the housekeeper and asked politely, "Are there any new clothes here that suit me?" "Butler, madam, the clothes in the room you are going to are all prepared for you." "Huh, the clothes in that room just now, were they prepared for her?" "Madam, you don't need to be so polite, sir, you have already told everyone in the villa that you are the mistress of the villa here." The news Nangongyu received from the housekeeper made her unable to calm down for a long time. She reopened the wardrobe and took a closer look. These clothes came in a variety of colors and styles, matching different occasions. Are these really prepared by Huo Yangzi for her? Including the door code. What she learned tonight was a bit difficult to digest. Hearing the sound of water in the bathroom, she also felt like carrying a piece of pajamas to another bathroom to take a bath. When she came back, Huo Yangzi was still in the bathroom. Afraid that something might happen to him, Nangongyu went over and knocked on the door. "Huo Yangzi, are you okay?" No response was heard. As soon as she stretched out her hand, the door opened from the inside. Huo Yangzi rushed over, and Nangongyu subconsciously leaned over. Fortunately, he hugged her firmly. "Wife, you smell so good." It's obviously the same body wash. She could smell the fragrance. The maid brought sobering soup, and Nangongyu gave it to him. "Drink this." "I don't." Nangongyu couldn't laugh or cry. "Huo Yangzi, why are you acting like a child? Isn't it?" His behavior now is really the same as when a naughty child refused to take medicine, but this is not a bitter medicine. This is delicious, drink it. I want my wife to feed me. Well, I really had no choice but to follow the drunkard. Before she could put the bowl down, Huo Yangzi hugged her again. "Huo Yangzi, I haven't put the bowl away yet." Oh, Huo Yangzi glanced at her, then reached out to take the bowl and put it aside. "Honey, my head hurts." "Who made you drink so much?" "I want something to drink myself." "Don't do this anymore, you know it's not good for your health." Even though she was clearly telling him, Huo Yangzi asked her a question: "Why should I drink when I have a wife in the future?" "You drink, because of me." "Ha ha, hee hee." Huo Yangzi was really drunk and pulled her to lie on the bed. Nangongyu's heart beat rapidly and he didn't know what would happen next. But maybe Huo Yangzi was really tired, so he just hugged her and simply kept her by his side. Her eyes were open, and so was Huo Yangzi's. "Go to sleep quickly and close your eyes." Oh, he still didn't close his eyes. Nangongyu seemed to have thought of something, so he closed his eyes first. After a while, he heard the sound of even breathing in his ears. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 1744. Chapter 1744. Last night. Hearing the sound of even breathing, Nangongyu slowly opened his eyes again, and sure enough he saw that Huo Yangzi had fallen asleep. Her gaze spread across Huo Yangzi's delicate and flawless face, which seemed to paint a picture. The next day, Huo Yangzi pressed her head and felt dizzy. "I wanted to raise my hand, but felt something pressing on my arm." When he opened his eyes, he saw an incredible scene. Why did Nangongyu fall asleep next to him? It can't be a dream. Huo Yangzi didn't dare to move for a moment, for fear of disturbing the woman next to her, and even more afraid that she was just a dream and would disappear suddenly. He stared at her again and again like a madman, and looked again and again. "What are you looking at again?" Suddenly, Nangongyu opened his eyes. Now Huo Yangzi really believed that this was not a dream. He woke up, and his expression suddenly returned to its normal and inscrutable look. "Why are you here?" Nangongyu saw the changes in his expression throughout the whole process, and felt as if he was feeling depressed. He didn't know what to say. This man was completely different from when he was drunk. Have you forgotten what you did last night? Last night, these words frightened Huo Yangzi. She quickly looked down at herself and then at Nangongyu, and found that both of them had changed into pajamas. From what Nangongyu said just now, it sounds like something indescribable happened to him after he was drunk yesterday, right? It stands to reason that he took advantage, but why was he questioned like this by Nangongyu instead? No. He has to step up. I forgot about drinking yesterday, but you should tell me what I did last night. A familiar evil smile appeared on Huo Yangzi's face. When Nangongyu thought of the way he acted coquettishly while holding her last night, he suddenly wasn't afraid of his expression anymore. Last night, you said? Forget it, you have forgotten it anyway, so let's not mention it. Nangongyu sighed helplessly, lifted the quilt and got out of bed, leaving Huo Yangzi's back. She finally got a win in front of Huo Yangzi. This feeling couldn't be more wonderful. It turns out you are not so difficult to deal with. After the drama last night, she seemed to have grasped Huo Yangzi's weakness. That man didn't seem to be difficult to deal with. Perhaps there was a misunderstanding due to poor communication between the two. She was timid, afraid of taking that step, and only regretted not being able to control herself, so she had been restraining her feelings and refused to admit it. But after what happened last night, she had a certain degree of certainty about her position in Huo Yangzi's heart, so with her businessman nature, those twists and turns had already been sorted out. At least, she understood that Huo Yangzi cared about her. Here, Nangongyu has already figured out what he should do next. Outside, Huo Yangzi was sitting on the bed, already in an extremely entangled mode. What did he do last night? He actually let Nangongyu sleep next to him and hold him in his arms. This is something he has failed to do despite all his tricks before. A drunkard actually did it? Also, Nangongyu's attitude towards him when he woke up just now was obviously very different from when he cried and said I would rather never meet him that night. Does it mean that he still has some mysterious charm after being drunk and managed to get Nangongyu? Think about it and don't show weakness. Huo Yangzi went to knock on the bathroom door. Nangongyu, are you okay? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1745. Chapter 1745. She shouted, Yangzi. Well, okay. Nangongyu replied hesitantly, patted his face with water before going out. Huo Yangzi felt very strange. He remembered that it was the first time for Nangongyu to come here. According to Nangongyu's character, shouldn't he be very polite and reserved? How can I be so skilled that I feel like I'm at home? But he liked Nangongyu's self-awareness of his family very much. Thinking of this, I feel a lot better. By the time he finished washing and went out, Nangongyu had already put on a dress suitable for going out. He remembered that he had hung the skirt in the closet himself and picked it out himself. He originally thought that he would not have the chance to give it to her, but he didn't expect that she would put it on herself. Nangongyu's series of actions made Huo Yangzi doubt herself. He wondered if he had lost his memory, or traveled through time. Now I am full of questions and I can't figure it out, but I can't find the courage to ask her. By the time he was about to change clothes, Nangongyu was already standing at the door, holding the door handle and saying to him, after changing clothes, go downstairs and have breakfast. This gentle voice and this behavior are really like the daily life of a loving couple. Huo Yangzi rubbed his forehead, and then dressed faster, wanting to go downstairs quickly to see her. Downstairs, Nangongyu sat elegantly at the dining table, serving breakfast one after another. Nangongyu will thank them, and they will also call Nangongyu madam in response to politeness. Huo Yangzi is now full of questions. He finally couldn't help but ask Nangongyu, have I lost my memory? Nangongyu gave him an inexplicable look, why do you have such a strange problem? Huo Yangzi hesitated and could only continue eating breakfast to cover up. Before going out, Huo Yangzi stood at the door, not knowing if he was waiting for someone. Until Nangongyu pulled up her hair and put on light makeup and came up from downstairs. The servants couldn't help but look up and see how graceful and charming their lady was, as beautiful as the fairy in the painting. Seeing Nangongyu come down, Huo Yangzi walked out, as if to show that she was not deliberately waiting for her. Nangongyu walked slowly behind. When he saw Huo Yangzi getting into the car, he shouted, "Yangzi." This gentle voice was extremely aggressive and almost made Huo Yangzi weak in the foot. "What did you just call me?" "Yangzi, is there any problem?" She read his name again, still in such a gentle and affectionate tone. Huo Yangzi felt like a fireball was gathering in his heart, about to explode. He finally couldn't hold it back and asked the question he had been holding back all morning, "What happened to us last night? You treat me like this, I'm still not used to it." Nangongyu understood his inner activities at the moment very well, and said to him with a smile, "Then get used to it slowly. We will live together in the future anyway, right? From now on, we will be together." The impact of this sentence was not too great for Huo Yangzi. He did not recover for a moment, but used actions to cover up his uncontrollable emotions, helped Nangongyu open the car door, and stammered, I will take you to work." "Good." Nangongyu naturally sat in the passenger seat. The two of them didn't say much along the way, they just had different thoughts in their minds. Nangongyu discovered that Huo Yangzi was probably a paper tiger. It's just that Huo Yangzi doesn't seem to believe that she will suddenly change her attitude. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1746. Chapter 1746, Is Madame Jealous? This morning, Huo Yangzi's mind was wandering. He watched his boss giggle from time to time, and finally couldn't help but ask, "Boss, what happened to you and your wife yesterday?" He came to the door himself, and Huo Yangzi thought that there might be an insider here. He immediately straightened his face and shouted with a serious expression, "Hien, come here." Hien was so frightened that his legs trembled, and he thought to himself, did he hit the horse's hoof by flattering him? "Boss, if you have something to say, please tell me, but I haven't done anything. Tell me, what did I do last night and after I was drunk?" "Boss, do you really want to listen? Do not talk nonsense." "Then I've said it." Yesterday, you called my wife when you were drunk. She answered the phone, but you refused to talk, so I told her that you were drunk there." "Then what?" "Then the lady came." What else happened in the middle? He mainly wanted to know what happened between him and Nangongyu last night that could make Nangongyu's attitude towards him turn around 180 degrees. "Well, later I picked up my wife and found you cuddling with another strange woman at the door." Huo Yangzi didn't believe it. He promised Nangongyu that he would not provoke other women again, and he never did it again, even if it was just for fun. He saw Huo Yangzi's doubts and quickly added, "It's true. Not only me, but also my wife saw it with my own eyes." Huo Yangzi frowned deeply. "Then what did she say?" "Madam didn't say anything." "Didn't you say, isn't that woman even jealous?" He took a breath and continued, "Madam didn't say it, because you kicked that woman away again in front of Madam, and then I took that woman away, and the rest of the matter is unclear." "Have you seriously said everything you know?" "It's absolutely true. I dare not fool anyone, boss." Hien could barely stand up to the sun and the moon to prove his loyalty. "Well, get lost throwing it away after using it." Huo Yangzi is simply a typical example of burning bridges across rivers. Fortunately, Hien was already used to his boss's venomous tongue, and he had a very good attitude. "Okay, I'll leave now." Hien was crying silently in his heart when he was suffering. He would not have said anything if he had known it, and he was frightened by the big boss again. "At first I thought I would be praised for doing something good." Hien. Arrive. Contact the finance department later and ask them to give you double salary and year-end bonus. "Thank you, boss." Happiness came too suddenly. Huo Yangzi thought for a long time and made another call to the villa. "Huo Yangzi, how did I get back yesterday?" "I came back with my wife." "Who opened the room?" "It seems that the lady opened it herself." Suddenly a picture flashed through his mind, as if Nangongyu was asking for the password, but he refused to give the answer directly no matter what. He suddenly knew what to do. In the afternoon, Hien discovered that his boss had skipped work early and left the rest of the work to him before leaving. Not long after, the boss of Huo's enterprise appeared downstairs at the Nangong Group's head office. People passing by couldn't help but take a second look. When it was time to get off work, Huo Yangzi sent a text message to Nangongyu's mobile phone: "Honey, I'm waiting for you to get off work." End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1747. Chapter 1747. I need a wife. "Honey, I'm waiting for you to get off work." Huo Yangzi figured it out, he is a man. Nangongyu must not be allowed to lead the way. So, he decided to take the initiative. However, "I'm not in the company." It is obviously not a rational behavior to take the initiative without preparation, because Nangongyu has already gone to deal with other things and will not come back to the company today. Huo Yangzi, the first attack failed. Next, he inquired about Nangongyu's itinerary and finally received Nangongyu. "Where are we going now?" Nangongyu sat in the car and thought about where he should be. Huo Yan was stunned for a moment and then asked, "Where do you want to go?" Actually, he was a little scared at the moment, fearing that Nangongyu would answer something he didn't like to hear. "I want to go back to the apartment." Huo Yangzi's face turned cold when he heard this. Sure enough, this woman must have been so sleepy in the morning to be so close to him, and now she has returned to her original state in less than a day. Fortunately, he was excited for a whole day because she called Yangzi. Huo Yangzi felt very unhappy, so she didn't take the initiative to speak during the whole process. Nangongyu was thinking about the business matters he had just discussed, and did not care about Huo Yangzi's mood. Until the car stopped at the door of the apartment, Nangongyu naturally opened the door and got out of the car. Huo Yangzi sat in the car and did not move. Does he still want to lick his face and live in Nangongyu's apartment, and then listen to her say "I'd rather never meet again"? But what if you ask him to turn around and drive away? His hand just stayed there, not moving. Nangongyu took 2 steps and found no one behind him, so he stopped, turned around and shouted, "Yangzi, what are you doing in the car?" However, at this moment he still had a straight face. "Are you inviting me in?" Nangongyu smiled brightly and asked, "Aren't we husband and wife? Do we still need an invitation to enter our home?" Huo Yangzi was inspired to open the car door, and the cool night breeze blew in his face, waking him up. Following Nangongyu, they walked into the house together. The position of the things he had forced in had not changed. At most, they were neater and cleaner, but they were still the same. Huo Yangzi really didn't expect. He thought Nangongyu was telling the truth that night, but why was this woman so annoying in her words and so gentle to him in her actions? Completely unable to resist. "It's a bit late tonight, otherwise I'd better stay in the apartment first, and I'll pack up and move there tomorrow." "Move there? Where are you moving to? Your villa is so big, can't you live in it?" Huo Yangzi resisted the urge to jump up and roar, and pretended to be serious and replied with 2 words, "Okay." Happiness came so suddenly that he suspected that he was dreaming. But not. The reality is that Nangongyu personally cooked egg noodles for him. This is also the food he misses the most, because the first time Nangongyu cooked for him, he made tomato egg noodles. He was really becoming more and more fascinated by her. After finishing the noodles, Huo Yangzi asked a question she was looking forward to: "Where should I sleep?" "Your room is ready. It's the same one as before. Everything in it is still there. You can go and see if you need anything else later." "Okay. I thought there was much progress, but I didn't expect to sleep in separate rooms." Huo Yangzi thought for a while and then asked, "I can ask you for anything I need." There were only two people here. Who else could I tell besides her?" "Okay, I need a wife, please help me make arrangements." End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1748. Chapter 1748, My daughter was forced to marry. Nangongyu rejected him. Although she was accepting Huo Yangzi, the forced marriage made her unable to fully accept the marriage from the bottom of her heart. She feels like there is something missing between herself and Huo Yangzi. At night, the two of them rested in different rooms, but they had the same insomnia until the early hours of the morning. The next day, when Nangongyu was just about to pack up his things and move to Huo Yangzi's villa, he suddenly received a call from Gongqin Li, and the tone was very bad: "Nangongyu, go back to Nangong's house right now." Nangongyu was puzzled by this. "Mommy, what happened?" "I'll tell you what happened later. Come back first and don't accept any reasons for rejection." Gongqin Li has a temper easily, but she has rarely lost her temper with her daughter since she was a child. This time it sounds a bit more serious than last time. She was still angry when she got the marriage certificate first and then reported it. Nangongyu could only put down the box in his hand temporarily and explained to Huo Yangzi, "Sorry, I have to go back to Nangong's house first. Do you need me to accompany you?" "Well, Mommy seemed very angry this time and didn't tell me what happened. It's better to wait for me to find out the situation first." She declined politely. Because of the excuse she found for marriage, neither Gongqin Li nor Nangong Luo had any special affection for Huo Yangzi, except that they recognized his excellent abilities. Huo Yangzi could only settle for the next best thing: "Okay, I'll take you back." "Thanks. Do you still need to thank your husband for being his wife's driver?" "Okay then, I take back those two words." Huo Yangzi then discovered that Nangongyu was actually quite naughty. Occasionally, she would make a joke. Huo Yangzi sent Nangongyu outside the gate of Nangong's house and watched Nangongyu's figure slowly walk away. He parked the car on the edge and did not leave. Nangongyu returned home full of doubts and saw her mommy sitting in the middle of the hall like a queen, while her poor daddy stood next to her mommy, guarding her like a perfect knight. "Daddy, Mommy, I'm back. You still know how to come back." "Mommy, what's wrong?" Even a smart person like Nangongyu couldn't guess the reason why Gongqin Li was angry this time. She thought that she had made no mistakes at work recently and had not provoked these two people in her life. Gongqin Li stared at her sternly and asked, "Tell me again, why did you get married?" Nangongyu replied calmly, "I have explained it before, I just make the most appropriate choice at the right age." "Nonsense. You still want to lie to me." Gongqin Li slapped the support, obviously angry. Nangongyu asked in confusion, "Mommy? What do you mean?" "It was the old man from the Huo family and that brat from the Huo family who forced you, right?" At first hearing Gongqin Li's question, Nangongyu was obviously surprised. She has never mentioned to anyone around her that she was forced to get married. How could her parents know about it? "I can see it. They are really forcing you. Damn it, let me see if I don't take care of the Huo family." Gongqin Li is an action person. After getting the prepared answer from her daughter, she really picked up the guy and prepared to go out. Nangong Luo quickly hugged her. Luli, don't be impulsive. Listen to what your daughter has to say. What should I say? Wasn't her performance obvious enough just now? My daughter was forced into marriage, and I, the mother, have been kept in the dark until now. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1749. Chapter 1749 I like him. Nangong Yu, Mommy has always believed in you and thought you could take responsibility for yourself, but you didn't even tell us when you were wronged. Do you know that Mommy will be very heartbroken? My daughter of the Nangong family does not need to compromise. Now divorce. Mommy, that's not the case. You still want to lie to me, Xiao Yuer. Mommy feels sorry for you, and I won't believe your words about the benefits of marriage this time. Gong Qinli really wanted to settle the score with the Huo family, and she really wanted Nangong Yu to divorce Huo Yangzi. No matter how Nangong Yu explained it, Gong Qinli believed that she was wronging herself. Nangong Yu could only ask for help from Nangong Luo. Daddy, please help me persuade Mommy. It's really not like that. Huo Yangzi is very good to me. Xiao Yuer, we already know that the old man of the Huo family threatened you with that kind of photo. Nangong Luo held her daughter's hand tightly and told her seriously, I am the same as your mommy, I love you and will never let you be forced to marry someone you don't love because of some so-called reputation. It is very painful to live with someone you don't love, which Nangong Luo realized many years ago. Nangong Luo stood beside Gong Qinli. Nangong Yu was about to be unable to stop the two elders. She had no choice but to run to the gate to stop them. For the first time, she boldly expressed her feelings, but it's different now. Me, I like him. Gong Qinli and Nangong Luo looked at each other, very suspicious. Nangong Yu sighed deeply, Daddy, Mommy, I know you love me, but can you please listen to me explain this clearly? You said the same thing last time. What you said was so reasonable that you even deceived us. Gong Qinli accused her daughter of lying to them last time and keeping them in the dark. Nangong Yu can't refute this, but she won't admit it now. What I analyzed to you at the time was also true. Huo Yangzi and I would benefit from being together without any harm. And I knew he liked me, so I agreed. Do you think your daughter is so stupid that she would entrust herself to a terrible man at will? Nangong Yu's question actually asked both Gong Qinli and Nangong Luo. Of course Nangong Yu is not stupid. On the contrary, she is very smart. People say she has a beautiful heart. Because of this, they firmly believed in Nangong Yu's words and believed that she had made the best choice. Daddy, Mommy, my daughter would like to ask, where did you learn about this matter? It's Zhong Yun. At that time, Zhong Yun told them the truth of the matter and even got photos as evidence. They were originally dubious before they called their daughter back. I also confirmed this from my daughter just now. It was a forced marriage. So, now they are half convinced about Nangong Yu's defense for Huo Yangzi. Daddy, Mommy, think about the purpose of the person who complained to you. If you rush to Huo's house and make a fuss, wouldn't you be caught in someone else's scheme? We know that Zhong Yun has bad intentions, but the forced marriage is a fact. We just can't bear to see you being wronged. I really have no grievances. Yangzi and I have a very good relationship now. Okay. I checked. You have been living separately these days. A newly married couple lives in two places. Is this called a relationship? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1750. Chapter 1750 Meeting with Parents. Nangong Yu didn't expect that he would fall into the trap. She sighed helplessly, Then how can I prove it so that you will believe it? Nangong Luo, who still has some sense, secretly hinted, no matter what you say now, your mother is unlikely to believe it. Nangong Yu had no choice but to use his trump card, we slept together last night. Gongkin Li. Nangong Luo. Nangong Yu hugged her slightly, yesterday we lived in an apartment, and the day before yesterday we lived in a villa. She said this to show that they did not live in separate places, but slept on both sides. Nangong Luo stared at his daughter closely. In fact, he already believed her. Because what Nangong Yu said today was very different from what she usually said. If it wasn't to defend someone, she would not argue and explain, let alone say things that would make her embarrassed. Thinking of this, Nangong Luo quickly grabbed his wife and whispered in her ear, "Lu Li, listen to me." Didn't know what Nangong Luo said, but he saw Gongkin Li's expression softened a little. Nangong Yu secretly observed his parents' expressions, hoping that they would choose to believe it. After a while, Gongkin Li's mood became much more stable. "Xiao Yuer, where is that brat from the Huo family? He sent me here just now, I'm not sure now. Call the others over to me." "You were called here," Nangong Yu frowned slightly. Gongkin Li seemed not to see the troubled expression on her face, and said firmly, "Yes." Nangong Yu was a little worried, "Mommy, you don't still want to attack him, do you? Do I look that violent? I just want to know more." "You are not violent enough." Nangong Labong spoke to his wife, "Xiao Yuer, we have already given in, so don't hesitate." Then, okay, she thought that since Huo Yangzi could handle the first marriage, he should also be able to handle the second forced marriage. Not knowing where Huo Yangzi was now, she called Huo Yangzi in front of her parents. "Yangzi, where are you now? What's up?" Gongkin Li, who was eavesdropping on the phone, raised her fists and almost couldn't help but rush out again, "This brat, can't we find him if nothing happens?" Fortunately, Nangong Luo caught her in time. "Well, Mommy and Daddy said they want to see you if it's convenient for you, then." "Good." Before Nangong Yu could finish speaking, the answer was already given. Gongkin Li's expression softened slightly. He heard Huo Yangzi on the other end of the phone say, "I'm just outside your house." Nangong Yu ran out the door in disbelief and saw the car still parked on the side of the road. Huo Yangzi walked toward her with steady steps, approaching step by step. Her tall figure was elongated under the warm sun. "Yuer, why are you still here? You haven't come out yet, how can I go back with confidence?" Nangong Yu couldn't help laughing when he heard the different heartwarming words. Nangong Luo and Gongkin Li, who were standing at the door, glanced at Huo Yangzi coldly and said, "Huo Yangzi, come in." Huo Yangzi suddenly felt a little timid. It's not that he is timid or afraid, but that he is worried that his wife's parents will reject him. Nangong Yu seemed to be aware of his inner thoughts, and took the initiative to reach out and gently hold his thick palm. "Yangzi, don't worry, my father and mother are fine." End of this chapter.